said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game. What she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition. Can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best. Get in the way, be her guest. Riri, the ghosty girl, steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all the more to Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game. What she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition. Can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best. Get in the way, be her guest. Riri, the ghosty girl, steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all the more to Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game. What she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition. Can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best. Get in the way, be her guest. Riri, the ghosty girl, steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all the more to Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri, the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game, what she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition, can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best, get in the way, be her guest. Riri the ghosty girl steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all and more to Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game, what she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition, can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best, get in the way, be her guest. Riri the ghosty girl steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all and more to Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty girl. Just a normal day or so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of what it's like to be not as clumsy. The ghosty girl who goes to game, what she doing, what she playing. Everybody playing cool, it's the coolest of the ghouls. Strong will end, a lot of ambition, can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best, get in the way, be her guest. Riri the ghosty girl steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul, but guides all wandering souls back home. Give your mind, body, all and more to Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty girl. I said it's Riri the ghosty.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately having minor technical difficulties and my cat isn't making it easier on me. Hi guys. I'm fixing it. It just required me to like restart everything. Thanks for the raid, Chaotic. How are you? Welcome, invaders. Of course it's Yuki. He's the only one that comes up here. I really need to... well, I'll tell you guys in a second. Hold on. Hold on. Hold your horses. We're coming in. We're coming in. It should be working fine now. Frick, it's not working fine. Hold on. Oh wait, hold on. I have to start this. Okay. Okay. There we go. Freaking finally. Hi guys. Everything was working fine. And then Okay, so basically, long story short, I need to figure out how the fuck to connect myself to VTube Studio wirelessly again. When I moved, I can't get it to work. I have to plug it into my computer, which causes a lot of issues. And if I open up any other app, usually if I don't move it and I just switch apps, it'll still work when I go back, but this time it didn't. And it's a lot. It's really, I don't understand why it won't connect with my new internet, but it won't do it. So I can't use my V-Bridger that I fucking paid for. And I have to like have my phone plugged in the whole time, which is not good for the battery. And it's very frustrating and I am too stupid. So I haven't figured it out. But anyway, hi guys, welcome in everybody. Thank you for the raid, chaotic. If you need to go get dinner or whatever, please do. Thank you for sharing your community with me. I hope you guys are having a really great day. Dan, thank you for being the first soul. Hello Hancho. What do you mean I can buy my husband? Hello Dosby, hello Prince, hello M, hello Chaotic, hello Miku, hello Heka, hello Sung, hello Sushi. How is everybody? Welcome in, welcome in. Get a sip of this water. I love the like triple auto correction situation is truly a 10 out of 10 chef kiss kind of moment. That's me for real right there. But yeah, I have 2 cats and my cat Yuki is very dependent on me and he would not leave me alone, and I have to like hold him so that he doesn't press the keyboard, because he will press the keyboard and he won't lay next to, he's got to be directly in front of me. This freaking, you're somewhere in Orange County for Thanksgiving, have fun. You're trying, that's all that matters, Sushi. That's all that matters. We just do our best, you know? That's all we can do. Oh. Yes? Oh my god. Are you gonna go sit over there? That'd be amazing. Nope, he's coming back. What's hot, white, and criminally cute? White, hot, and criminally cute. Me! Shucks. Aw, shucks. Lock me up, officer. Oh, shucks. Lock me up, officer. I can't do a southern accent. That was so horrible. I'm so sorry. Yeah, bring out the handcuffs. Bring him out. Guilty as charged. Anyway, hi, you guys. Happy Tuesday. Yuki, stop it. Yuki, stop it. I'm pretty sure I should have a counter for how many times I tell Yuki to stop something while I'm streaming. I feel like it would be a lot of time. Yuki, no. I feel like it would be a lot of times. Now he's blocking the camera again. I was trying to get my eye patches on, but he's not cooperating. It's Tuesday, isn't it? It's Tuesday. Yuki. Come here. Come here. Do you have words for chat today? Yeah. Oh, ow, ow. That's rude. I was gonna hold you. Okay. Go be angsty by yourself. That freaking hurt. That freaking hurt. He really bit into me hard. Hold on, let me wash my hands. 1 second.
so we thought. Suddenly lost control, now you're caught. What is going on? Well, can't you see? You're under the control of Riri. The friendly neighborhood ghost is here to check in on all the lovely souls under her possession, hoping to give herself a taste of
Okay,
what's
sorry.
like to be.
I don't fuck with cat bites, you know? Hi Ver, hi Galleon, hi Frank. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, I don't fuck with cat bites. If you get bit even a little bit, wash it right away and monitor it. This one's a little deeper than normal, so I'm gonna monitor it and make sure it doesn't get infected. Yeah, he was being angsty and he bit me, and it's a little deeper than normal. It's not bleeding or anything, but it's just a little deeper than normal, so I will monitor. No, Yuki, you were just mean. Go away. She says, knowing full well that they will snuggle in 2 hours. No, Yuki. Hey. Hey. What is going on, dude? You've never had a cat do anything more than a... I mean, this wasn't like... It doesn't even hurt. A little deeper than normal, that's what she said. It doesn't hurt, it's just that I can see it. I can see the little like prick of where his tooth went in. So he's just being angsty, I think. He's being angsty. Okay, now he's eating catnip. Everything will be fine. How are you guys? Sorry, it's another short stream week. But for my fellow Americans, it's Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I had plans to make a dessert. And, I figured I'd probably have to make mac and cheese because Chef Dad always complains about it. So I usually end up making it because I love mac and cheese. I want it at Christmas and Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Especially with a little truffle oil. Ooh. But so I already had plans to make a dessert and mac and cheese. And I still do want to try making some rolls. So if I have time, I'll do that too. But Chef Dad was like, hey, you're on dessert duty and I made this crust, so you need to make some kind of tart. Pick whichever puree out of these you want to use and make some kind of tart with it. I don't care. And I was like, oh, okay, we're giving instructions now. I get a taste of my own medicine, I guess. So I also have to make a tart. So I think the plan is I'm gonna make a yuzu Basque cheesecake, because Basque cheesecake is my obsession. I made a pumpkin one for Friendsgiving. It turned out amazing. I don't want to make a pumpkin one because Chef Dad does not care for pumpkin. And so my plan was to make a yuzu one. And then I was torn between the strawberry puree that we have or the white peach. The others were mango and pineapple, and like none of them are giving Thanksgiving. None of them are giving fall. The closest was strawberry. So I took the strawberry puree, and in my head at first I was gonna make a tart, like the crust and then a custard and then the puree almost like cooked, so it's almost like gelatinous but no gelatin. Oh, Anakin. But I was trying to find like a recipe to kind of go off of, and the more that I was looking around for recipes, the more I was like having a hard time finding what I was looking for. And then I came across a mango, like a mango custard. Really it's just like a mango pastry cream. And I was like, oh, because custard, like a tart custard is usually a pastry cream, or like if you think of what, well, okay, I shouldn't say that. There's various forms of like creamy desserts, okay? And one commonly used thing is a pastry cream. And so if you think of like the inside of a really good cream puff, like that thick cream is typically a pastry cream. Sometimes in like a fruit tart is a pastry cream. Sometimes it's more of a custard. So I'm thinking I'll make a strawberry creme patissier, a strawberry pastry cream tart. And I'll put some like homemade whipped cream on it. Maybe I make like a cranberry whipped cream with it. Cran strawberry. I don't know. There's probably, I mean, there should be some acid in there probably, but yeah, I think that's my plan. And then I think I'll also maybe make like some chocolate ganache or something. That way if someone wants like strawberry chocolate, because it is fruity. Not everyone wants fruity, but knowing, so my auntie is here, like my mom's best friend is here too. So knowing her, she's probably made her like cookies that everyone likes. And then I have to make mac and cheese, and then I want to make rolls. But that sounds really like, that sounds very ambitious for a Wednesday night. Sounds good. Thank you. Am I making on site? I'm gonna make here at my house. So I'll make the 2 desserts, and I'll make the mac and cheese, and I'll put it in the pan, and then I will take it over and I'll bake the mac and cheese, and the desserts just need to be in the fridge. So they'll like transport, everything will transport real easy. I have a, like the tart will just stay in the pan, although do I have a good tart? I guess I could use my spring form after I make the cheesecake. I don't have a good like tart pan. I have a pie pan, but those are like really shallow. I don't think I have a good tart, so I might use my spring form pan to make the tart. So the edges are tall, so there's like a lot of pastry cream in there. I don't know. But everything will transport pretty easy. It's not that far of a drive. It's like a 20-minute drive. So no big deal. No big deal. Anyway, you have an important test tomorrow. Good luck with your test tomorrow, Honcho. You got this. Are pets biting a lot of YouTubers today, Frank? I don't know. One of your cats is anxious and your vet has prescribed her the green leaf. Oh yeah. I've heard CBD helps a lot too, but a coworker who ate pretty much exclusive mac and cheese and took us to a specialty mac and cheese restaurant. Oh, that's not wild. There's like a mac and cheese restaurant here too. I feel like a theme, like a one kind of cuisine theme, it's not that crazy. But maybe that's just because I'm a foodie, so I've seen it all, you know? Anyway. Let's swap screenies. Grilled cheese sandwich card? That's really cute. I like that. Now I'm thinking of all the different... I'm thinking of all the different grilled cheeses. Like different themed grilled cheese sandwiches you can make. Ooh, shit. I'm inspired. I haven't had a grilled cheese in so long, but grilled cheese goes so hard. I feel like, oh, dog. Thank you so much for the 43 months. Oh, Kaidi, welcome home. How are you? I miss you. I hope you're doing good. Oh, you know what? My watch is... Oh, it's 4%. Let me plug this fucker in. I need to figure out... I need some sort of, like... thing that'll plug into a slot down there, but come up on my desk that all my things can be plugged into or something. I don't know. So much vacationing. We're doing good as well. I am good, thank you. Okay. Now let me swap. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, okay. I don't even get to like vacation that hard because on Saturday I still have to wake up at 4:30. What am I reacting to today? I saw a video recommended to me about Teclis. It should be in the description, Reaver. But this video about Teclis, I wanted to check that out, and then we should have time to also watch. I was curious about this since we were just watching like about the mages and stuff. This is talking about witch hunters. I should have time for both because they're both a bit shorter, which means I should get started because I do need to like, typically I try to be off by like 8:30 since I have to get up at 4:30. But yeah, we're doing Pinkiest today. I was in a fantasy mood. Mostly I saw the Teclis video and I was like, oh, I was intrigued by him. Let's check him out. But yeah, as always, let me know if the volume is a little iffy. I tried to check it, but you know, sometimes things can get quiet or loud. And yeah, let's enjoy learning about Teclis, Warhammer's wizardiest wizard. And also my husband, I think. Probably.
Wizards are cool. A lot of people might say the wizards are just cowards too weak to pick up a sword, and there are times that they have a point, admittedly. That
who would say? Wait, I know the video just started, but who the fuck would say that? You're in the same battle. You're not a coward. You just are wielding magic instead of a sword. I disagree. If you say that, you're an elitist. Fucking, I don't know. You're an elitist nerd.
being said, when you have a wizard on your side who casts Fireball and wipes out an entire regiment of enemies in front of you, most people tend to conveniently forget how poorly they think of wizards most of the time, at least until the battle's ended. When the mage on your side has the ability to turn a mountain inside out before entombing you in whatever counts as his insides now, most people tend to at least wait a brief moment before running their goddamn mouth. That's not to say such mages are immune to criticism, it's just that at a certain level of power, it's kind of hard to make fun of them for being weak. Physically weak, maybe, but in terms of a more generic description of being powerful, well, let's just say that when it's being aimed at you, power word kill is not something you hear more than once. And with all that being said, I think it's high time I made a video about Teclis. A moment of your time.
If this is Teclis from a game, he's cute. Kinda. It's hard to tell in the armor, but I do like the blue and gold. Warriors coping and seething. Corn says so. Well, Corn can suck my dick. Wizards are cool.
Before I begin speaking about an elf character.
And I totally don't say this as a biased, like, Magic player in every RPG I've ever played. For sure, yeah. No bias at all.
For the next 15-ish minutes. Do you know another setting that has elves, and indeed what other game you can play right now that has plenty of elven champions to wield? Raid Shadow Legends!
Oh, shit, the Raid! I didn't know they had elves, actually.
The world of Raid. Valentine's season
they have
is
hot
upon
elves.
Us. The day might have passed, but the spirit is still in the air, mocking my single ass once again. But fret not, because Raid has some couples in its ranks that can boost your team's fighting ability with the power of love and brutal combat. Let me give you the top 3, chosen by me.
I love fighting with the power of love and brutal combat.
For an extensive list of criteria I've come up with. 1. Seducer and Temptress. Seducer can place damage reduction buffs on all allies and a block damage buff on top of it.
Would. That guy, I mean this girl too, but would.
Just can take an extra turn. Kind of a letdown, but her name is Seducer, so it still fits the Valentine
also
theme.
her.
2. Xavier and Bellinor. Aside from them being elves, couple, when they're on the same team, they unlock the wings go to
hard.
Take up the 4 debuffs from one enemy and spread them around to the rest of the enemies.
Wait, when were the Raid Shadow Legends characters so cool looking? The first 2 were so sick.
Don't know why, but that's insanely funny to me. Imagine if I just started throwing my diabetes at people.
Okay, this guy is kind of less cool looking. The tights with the like gold speedo looks a little nerdy. He's giving Gilderoy Lockhart or whatever the fuck. That's all they have going for them. I don't know. I heard the game is actually fun because it's complicated and hard, but it's also pay to win.
That's what I'm picturing. And 3,
that's what I've heard.
When on the same team, this dynamic
I like
duo
her.
can not only reduce damage received from bosses, but remove all debuffs at the start of their turn. Is this why I picked them? Nah, I just like spooky ghosts. Sure, they're an effective combo to use, but ghosts are cool, and that's about all I needed to think about when.
Hell yeah, Pancreas! Speak your truth, King. Ghosts are cool, right, chat? Ghosts are so cool. By proxy, Pancreas thinks I'm cool. That's the headcanon I'm going with.
Place in them. Besides living vicariously through these power couples, you can get some goodies this Valentine's season. For new players, as long as you download Raid from my links below and head to raidlovequest.plarium.com and enter your player code, you can not only win Valentine-themed champions, but even up to $1,000 worth of Amazon gift cards through the minigames there. And if you're an existing player, fear not. Head to the same link where every player can find a promo code STValentine23 to get a nice little Valentine's Day gift just for
Valentine.
you. The event is running until March 14th, so make sure you get on.
What a guy.
Just to sweeten the deal. While I try to decide if that was a Valentine's Day pun or not, if you use either my link in the description or the QR code you can see on screen extra big right now, you can get not only the epic champion Jotun, but several other goodies you can also see on screen, totaling to $35 worth of goods. Rewards are available for new players only, so download Raid now and I'll see you there. Alright,
they're pretty
time to
giving.
learn about the end-all, be-all of elven mages.
Yeah.
Teclis is Tyrion's twin brother and a descendant of Anarion.
He has a twin brother, Tyrion. Teclis and Tyrion. How? Oh, dude, that would suck because Teclis is like the best mage ever, right? Imagine being his twin brother. Ooh. Hopefully Tyrion's as cool as him.
High elf who helped save the world by drawing a sword that almost every god on the planet was desperately telling him not to do. Even the chaos gods. Because his great a lot of greats grandpa pulled this sword, he and his brother are cursed. Tyrion got the curse in the form of being Gollum for the Sword of Cain. Meanwhile, Teclis was born with magical tuberculosis. Not kidding on that, by the way, it's described as consumptive, which is an old-timey word for the disease. Because of this, Teclis...
I don't understand what that means. What do you mean he has magical tuberculosis? I'm having a stroke and I don't know what that word is. I don't know what kind of disease tuberculosis is. Surely I'm not saying it right. It's not tuberculosis. What? How do you say it? I'm literally about to rewind just to hear him say it because it's driving me insane. Tuberculosis. But I don't know what tuberculosis is. I've never had tuberculosis. Why would I know what that does to you? Oh, man. Well, maybe we'll find out.
Had 3 hobbies as a child. They were, in order, coughing himself into a coma, having Tyrion and their maid take care of him in between.
Oh, it was this one where you cough a lot, right? It's like really bad bronchitis or something, I think.
Hunting trips and flirting with high elf women, and being experimented on by elven healing mages because if they accidentally killed him, there was always the other brother to keep the bloodline going strong. When they both came of age, it was time to go to Lothern and learn the tools of the high elf trade. Tyrion learned how to be a charismatic, friendly master of all forms of warfare. Teclis got to read some books and maybe learn how to cast magic missile if the effort wouldn't kill him. The greater demon of Slaanesh Nakari manifested to kill them both, and then Assyrian himself said nuh-uh and sent her ass back to the realm of chaos. Because sometimes it's okay for the good guys to get a Deus Ex Machina, especially in a fantasy setting, because in those, it's usually literal. Shortly after that, although we're talking about elves right now, so shortly after is anything from a week to several decades, Malekith and the Dark Elves decided that now was as good a time as any to invade Ulthuan again. I mean, they only have to win once, right? Tyrion and Alarielle got into some deep shit pretty quickly, while Teclis was just kinda hanging out, doing his thing, you know? He had started taking magical potions to survive, and they helped him stand upright, so that was an uptick in his life.
Wow.
Then some people told him that surely Alarielle and Tyrion were dead, and Teclis said, nah, they ain't. Not Tyrion, at least. They had a magical empathic link, because elven twins just get that, I guess, so he was entirely certain that they weren't dead. And because this was before the end times, and established characters weren't being obliterated every few seconds, he was right. So Teclis made a pretty damn good sword for someone with 0 prior blacksmithing skills, and was given the War Crown of Saphri, which is a fancy headpiece that makes him magic better. He went on a journey to find them, and he did. He also found who else but Nakari, back at it again, trying to kill the Everqueen and his brother.
Who's Nakari? Is it this big guy? They look pretty cool. They look like Slaneshi demons to me. I feel like there's some context that I'm missing here, but that's okay.
She was there because the Dark Elves decided that making deals with the goddess who wants nothing more than to eat elven souls was a good long-term arrangement.
Oh.
Then Teclis said power word kill, and much like I said earlier, Nakari had enough time to go power word what before she was once again removed from this realm of existence.
Shit.
Thanks for the rescue.
He's a Slanesh demon? Okay. So, he can suddenly be super powerful with magic? Oh, because of the sword thing.
Alariel gave Teclis the Staff of Lilith, the goddess of magic. When he holds it, his magical tuberculosis goes away. Things just keep coming up Teclis. There was, of course, still a massive Dark Elf invasion they had to deal with. So Tyrion started cleaving his way through everything in his path while Teclis sat in the back going, I cast Chain Lightning every few seconds just to really make sure the Dark Elves appreciated trying to invade Ulthuan again. Alariel, meanwhile, she was there, I'm sure, doing something ever queenly most likely. Malekith himself tried to intervene and take down Teclis, whereupon Teclis reignited the flames of Assyrian that burned him thousands of years ago. This slightly hurting him, Malekith decided to throw himself into the realm of chaos just to get away from Teclis. And then the rest of the Dark Elves and their chaos allies died, the end of that story. Or should I say, it was the end of the story for all the other High Elves. Because while most of them wanted to celebrate the narrow victory, and Tyrion went to show Alariel his sword, and no, I don't mean Sunfang, Teclis, in a very un-elven move, decided that perhaps helping others is actually a good thing to do. So he left Ulthuan to visit the Empire.
Wait, why is it that elves have a stigma, reputation to be like stingy and not help other people? Where did that come from? Did that come from here? Did that come from like Warhammer, or did that come from somewhere else? I just wonder where that originated. Cause I always forget that, but I like that he went against the grain. Sounds like husband material to me.
Because while Ulthuan was under siege from the Dark Elves, the Old World was going through the Great War against Chaos, and the ever-chosen before Archaon was busy giving it a good once-over. Thankfully, Magnus the Pious, also known as Chadnus the Pious, or yet another Warhammer fantasy character that makes Big E look like a clown, was a bit more open-minded about magic than most fellows. Together with him, Teclis set up the Colleges of Magic in the Empire of Man, allowing them to not only resist chaos a bit better, but actually throw some fireballs of their own around.
I forgot, he set up the schools, didn't he? He set up the whole thing. This Magnus actually did. Teclis like set up the colleges, right? I kind of forgot that they told us that. You think it comes from pompous and snooty rich people being stingy and shit? Oh, that's right, because elves are usually like elite class members, right? That makes sense. Okay.
Before that, human wizards were either crap or weren't allowed to exist at all, so this was a step up. Between the
Alright, I keep forgetting he's an elf, so he didn't have the same issues that the human wizards had, did he? Like, he had no problem being a wizard, whereas humans, like, couldn't control themselves and stuff because they had no way to learn. I wasn't even thinking about that.
His newfound strength and Magnus just generally being the best, chaos was pushed back. By this point, Teclis was pretty happy with what he had done and took a bit of a vacation. Of course, he's also a huge nerd, so his version of vacation was traveling around the world to see sites of magical power, learning about other cultures, and generally trying to fix the absolute mess that the Warhammer world was in at that point.
We need a Teclis of 2025. Am I right? Where is our modern day Teclis? I would appreciate a modern day Teclis right about now, please and thank you.
He even went on an adventure with Gotrek and Felix. There are these magical tunnels that run through the Warhammer world that are in essence like the Webway but even trippier. You can see alternate realities in them as little bubbles, there's spooky voices in them, and a lot of the time those voices are actually demons. Teclis went to keep them from breaking down and also stop a pair of Tzeentch cultists from destroying Ulthuan, using these tunnels as a way to travel. Gotrek and Felix, meanwhile, almost literally tripped into the tunnels near Sylvania and met Teclis somehow. A contrived reason for a story? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but who cares? It's awesome. awesome. Naturally,
That's
Gotrek tried
cool.
to kill Teclis, but because Felix was in some trouble, he held back. After Teclis rescued Felix, they went to Albion together, which is like England, but even worse. They met and chatted with the locals, and Teclis got himself a female bodyguard who was no doubt very interested in his own magical sword. For what?
I mean, yeah, right? Like, they for sure. I mean, if you were a female bodyguard watching over Teclis, how could you not? The finest wizard specimen in the realm. I couldn't blame her.
Whatever reason, high elven women kind of snub him a lot, but human women are ready
Wow.
to drop their pants the moment Teclis opens his mouth.
This checks out.
If I had to guess, it's probably because he looks like Benedict Cumberbatch. Gotrek also debated letting the cultists win because it meant Alt 1 would sink, and that means a lot of dead elves, but thankfully smarter heads prevailed. Smarter heads being Felix, I should add, because when there's a dwarf, an elf, and a human in a fantasy story, the only reason the first two will work together is because a human is there to remind them to stop being morons. Then Gotrek murdered a giant and got back to the ground by firemen sliding down its ocular vein he ripped out of its skull. Teclis did
What a visual! That's crazy. A mysterious elven man from a faraway land is quite attractive. That's what I'm saying, right?
fight two massively power Zinchian sorcerers while that happened, but when Gotrek is being Gotrek, it's hard for anyone else to be anything other than a footnote. After his miscellaneous travels, where he went pretty much everywhere the Warhammer world had to offer, Morathi tried to kill him with an assassination attempt.
Oh,
Didn't work, but it still hurt the guy. I like to think it went like it always did, and he got shanked with a knife before going power word kill, and then the Dark Elf went power word what before being obliterated. Also, if you're wondering, yes, I am imagining this happening like in Team 4-Star with the Kaioken joke. For a while after that, he just hung around Safari, doing magical research, filling up Lilith's boobs because they are blatantly a part of the staff he has, and occasionally going out into the world to lead the High Elves to victory. Occasionally meaning whenever someone played him in their Warhammer fantasy army. He was crowned High Lore Master after the last one died, and for a while, that was what Teclis was up to. There was also Storm of Chaos, where he showed up to help the Empire and obliterated Be'lakor and his entire army with a single spell, but that's neither here nor there. Before I start talking about the end times and get upset, let's talk about Teclis himself a bit.
Okay, here you go. This is what we need to know. We need to know the Teclis specifics. We gotta build up our husband's character. Is Total War Warhammer fun? I feel like I've asked this question before, but is it multiplayer and is it fun? These are obviously vital questions.
As you might have figured out, he's a lot friendlier towards other races than most High Elves are.
Right.
Mankind specifically, he thinks is intertwined with the fate of the High Elves, and if man falls, then the Elves go down with them. So I imagine most people that don't like Elves are going to be at least a little bit more favorably inclined towards the guy. Beyond that, he approaches his life with a rather good amount of humor. At the end of the Gotrek and Felix book he appeared in, he sarcastically thinks to himself about how he saved the world and now has to find his way through hordes of orcs and chaos cultists to get home. Just another day in the life of Ulthuan's most unappreciated hero. He's also shown to have some doubts about himself. In the same book, he wished that Tyrion were in the situation instead of himself, mainly because the sheer amount of charisma cascading off Tyrion like a waterfall of friendliness would have diffused things no problem.
Aww, he has a brother complex. He has a brother complex. Wait, is Tyrion the older twin or the younger twin? Now I wonder. I don't know. That's pretty crazy. It's a map game. I don't think I've ever played a map game. Maybe I have. I can't think of any. But like for people that like the kind of game, it's good. Is the vibe that I get. Older based on vibes alone. Right? I feel like older. Like the older sickly brother. I don't know.
I don't think he's giving himself enough credit, but at least he's kinda humble. And to throw my 2 cents in, he's very much right about understanding that the elves need mankind and vice versa. That very line of reasoning was why he set up the magical colleges in the Empire. And once again, to go to Gotrek and Felix, Teclis and Felix were discussing the nature of the world and how the old ones set it up. Felix makes a suggestion that Teclis finds to be highly intriguing, and he tells Felix as much. It's not something like him going, yeah, that's a stupid idea, and then it cuts to Teclis fervently writing down the idea for later. He just straight up tells Felix, yeah, that is an awesome idea. Granted, when
Oh, Clue, thank you for the sub. Okay, DD, welcome home. Thank you, thank you. So I have alerts off while we're watching, but thank you. You've watched a lot of different YouTubers and VTubers play Total Warhammer. Primarily the third. It's most up to date, but all of them really seem to enjoy it. Oh, okay. So it seems like maybe worth playing. Oh, sorry, I'm so yawny. Ugh. Sorry. It's been a rough week. We do love a humble man. We do. We can't deny that.
Felix asks to be kept up to date on any findings Teclis makes on the idea. Teclis tells him that his human lifespan means he'll likely be long dead before he comes to any kind of conclusion, but still, for an elf, that's some real humility. Alright, end times time now. It's a Warhammer fantasy character, we have no choice but to go here. Even more so with Teclis, because spoiler alert but not really, he shows up in AOS quite a bit. Teclis has apparently been taking lessons from Eldrad and orchestrates a phenomenally massive amount of shit to keep the elves and world at large alive. He gets Tyrion and Alariel's daughter Aliathra sacrificed to bring back Nagash because he figured they'd all need his help to fight back chaos. Major dick move, but at least I can see the logic in that one. He gets the Phoenix King Finnabar killed when it's...
I feel like... Wait, who's Nagash? I know who Nagash is, but thinking about it in the context of this, I'm forgetting. He brought Nagash back, thinking we would need him. Why would we need him? Oh, the god of death. That's right. We were talking about all the different gods. All the different... Okay. So, Nagash was dead, and Teclis brought him back? Or he just, like, borrowed him from his world or something? The Great Necromancer, the biggest dick. Oh, really? Really, really powerful Necromancer skeleton. That's now the god of death. Okay, okay.
Revealed that Malekith was the true Phoenix King all along. For real, guys, seriously. This one is just straight up awful retconning, but at the very absolute least to give Teclis some credit, going under the assumption that this is true, then it's not the worst idea he's had to get Malekith in charge. It's completely stupid from the standpoint of us reading about the setting because it's just blatantly GW ruining established lore, but somewhat understandable in-universe. Also, yeah, I'm gonna fight you on this, Eli. Malekith is not the true fucking Phoenix King. He also comes with a plan to harness the winds of magic into 8 individuals known as incarnates, all of whom are elves, because Teclis may have accepted humans are necessary for survival, but he's not about to give them unlimited magical power. This plan goes pretty badly.
Honestly, that's kind of fair, though. I think it would be a really bad idea to give humans unlimited magical power. Look at how much we fuck up without it. I agree with his stance on not giving humankind unlimited magical power. I can't be mad at that. Can't disagree.
Marathi and Tyrion screw it up, and what ends up happening is that he binds the Wind of Light to his staff and the Wind of Life to Alariel, as was intended. Malekith gets shadow instead of fire like he was supposed to, and all the rest of the winds are just out in the wild somewhere, and as far as Teclis knows, they could have possessed a particularly aesthetic rock. Also, the vortex is unbound, and Ulthuan sinks into the ocean. Big L for the High Elves.
Oh my
god. Then we flash forward into the end times. Teclis proposes an alliance with Nagash, which everyone hates, but they're somewhat willing to do it. Nagash tells him to go to hell, but then does it later himself so he can claim that he had the idea and not Teclis. Teclis rips out the flame of...
Wait, that's so funny. Teclis tells him to go to hell, but then he does it later on his own so he can say he had the idea. Oh my god. That makes me laugh.
Ulrich from underneath Middenheim to revive Tyrion after he got killed for being angry over his daughter being murdered and his entire country seemingly betraying him for their sworn enemy. God, Tyrion, don't overreact, it wasn't that big a deal. This action not only dooms Middenheim to fall to Archaon's hordes, not only gets rid of one of the only remaining gods actively holding back chaos, but also allows Archaon access to a third portal of the old ones that was underneath Middenheim and giving him a very convenient way to destroy the world once and for all by turning it on. This is not only stupid in-universe, it's stupid out of universe. I hate the end times. Sorry, that's just a verbal tick of mine I get whenever I discuss the end times. I hate the end times. Funnily enough, Ulrich possesses one of his followers with a little strength he has left and calls out Teclis on his bullshit. Teclis tells him to his face that the age of gods is over, which would have been an absolutely stone-cold badass line to say directly to a god's face if the rest of the end times didn't happen. Teclis teleports all the incarnate.
That would be actually insane and badass and stone cold. Damn.
It's to Middenheim, but he screwed it up and they just kind of teleport all over the place without any organization. Teclis lands at Archaon's feet. Very unfortunate. He makes fun of him, and then Archaon punches him in the face and knocks his lights out. Eventually, he meets up with the other incarnates, and together they start trying to enact one last ritual to save the world. Oh, but before that, he teleported Grimgor Ironhide and his entire army, consisting of every orc and ogre left in the world, to Middenheim. Now that would be a real convenient spell to have in D&D. 9th level spell called Summon Orc and Ogre, and it just makes every single one of them in the campaign magically appear there if they fail a spell save or something. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic to avoid having to keep talking about the end times. Anyways, the ritual was working until one of the incarnates died, so Teclis took that guy's power into himself on top of the one he already had in his staff. This starts tearing him apart, but he holds it together long enough that it looks like the ritual will work. And then Manfred von Karstein stabs Balthasar Gelt in the back. I've mentioned it before on this channel, but every time I come across a chance to cover this bit of lore, I can't help but emphasize it. Just because of how much of a stupid, arrogant, treacherous little weasel Games Workshop was here. Sorry, did I say Games Workshop? I meant Manfred. Regardless, Teclis tries to take Gelt's wind of metal into him on top of the other two, but if 2 winds were causing him trouble, then 3 was definitely not a good idea, and he explodes. He died right before the end of the world, and right before Tyrion avenged him by giving Manfred a prostate exam using Sunfang.
Wait, Teclis died? He just died?
And then suddenly, Age of Sigmar. Teclis is a god now, and he no longer requires magical potions and a special staff to stay alive. And to top off even all that, he found Tyrion after just a little bit of searching around. Tyrion was also a god, and was blind because he got into a staring contest with a spirit that embodied the very concept of light and wasn't about to puss out of a challenge, but he could see through Teclis' eyes. So thankfully they've not only mostly forgiven each other, but Teclis isn't the same kind of god as Zeus is, otherwise things would get real awkward for Tyrion.
I mean, okay. So, if the option is live the battle and still have your sickly body, or die the battle and become a god, I mean, everyone would pick die the battle and become a god, right? Like, no one would pick live the battle with your sickly body. Like, we would all pick what happened. But the world was destroyed too. Oh, so it wasn't even an option to begin with. But if it was an option, I don't think anyone would choose that one. Yeah, obvious choice, really. I agree.
It'd be real awkward if the person giving you eyesight was someone you hated. Even more awkward if every time you opened your eyes, or their eyes I guess, they were porking someone as a swan.
Oh my god.
They found Malekith and Marathi. Malekith decided to fuse with his dragon or something because he's a scaly now. With their help, they came together to beat the snot out of Slaanesh and reclaimed elf souls from the end times. And while I cannot confirm this, because for the life of me I can't find the original passage containing this lore, I have read online that there's a possibility that some of these elven souls are perhaps a bit more alien than they should be. Indeed, given that the warp is the warp, some of the souls taken from Slaanesh may not be elves, but Eldar. Or that's just something someone made up, and I'm parroting garbage back at you. I'm gonna consider it canon either way, because I think it's funny when the settings interact, and all the hype / outrage such a thing causes. Now, since I've covered Teclis a bit in the Lumineth faction video, I'll keep his AOS lore relatively brief, since I was just talking about it. Teclis tried to recreate the High Elves, failed and made...
Wait, is this model Teclis? The big, like, wave dude? Is he Teclis? Because I think, didn't we? Oh, okay. I was like, I remember seeing it, and this model was really cool. And I really liked it. But okay, not Teclis. Does Teclis have a model? I assume he does. He does have a model. Okay. I feel like after this, I'm gonna need to look up Teclis's model.
Made the emo Ideneth instead, failed a couple more times, and then eventually created the Lumineth Realm Lords. He also made a bunch of things called Enlightenment Engines to speed up development in all the mortal realms, since he's always been about cooperation between everyone. Sigmar secretly dicked around with them a bit, but Teclis doesn't seem to mind too much if he's aware of it. Or he's picking and choosing his battles since he has enough to deal with already. The Lumineth did the funny fall of the Eldar thing, only not quite as catastrophic, so Teclis talked to the moon for a month, and when he came back, he changed their entire society.
The Avatar reference is crazy. He's buddies with a Sphinx thing? Okay. I like Sphinx things. I'm down.
It seemed a bit drastic, but they were kind of going through the apocalypse, so I understand they were willing to try anything. He then went to work solving all of the major problems the mortal realms faced at the moment, because he is an elf and naturally knows best. He made sure that the Necroquake only kind of catastrophically damaged the Lumineth and Hysh, and then proceeded to fight Nagash. Can you take a guess what unoriginal joke I'm going to make again?
No.
Power word what? Granted, Nagash is the god of the dead, so it didn't, kill him.
Is that Teclis? He's on the Sphinx? Is that him and the Sphinx? Is that Nagash? Wait, both of these models are sick as fuck, though. The Nagash is actually really cool. But the Teclis is also really cool. I like him. Look at my husband defeating the god of death or whatever. I love his helmet. Bone Pope? Is it because of his helmet? Or is it because he defeats Nagash and Nagash is full of bones? Wait, is Nagash the Bone Pope? I'm confused. The Sphinx be looking a little odd though, I can't lie. Nagash is the Bone Pope. Because he's full of bones. That makes sense, sure.
But it did its job well enough. The fight crippled Teclis, sure, but like I said in the Lumineth video, that's just a return to form. It's hard to argue he's weakened because I know what he was like in fantasy, and he's sure as hell still doing better than there. Something also evidently happened to him where he had to split his soul in half and the other half was just gone, but honestly, I still think he's in a better place than fantasy. He helped Alariel dispel the death magic across reality, and he's been meditating on how to fix the rampaging beast energies and similarly rampaging hordes of destruction that have been making things slightly difficult for everyone. As I said before, the Lumineth greatly respect him, but find it more productive to just talk to the moon spirit he travels with. And as I also said before, I still find this to be incredibly funny. Sorry, God, but I have better sources of information to draw from. After all, Teclis' source is Selenar, but Selenar's source is I made it up. And as we all know, I made it up is the end-all be-all of sources.
That is true. The I made it up, or also known as the I read this somewhere, also known as I heard about this thing. It's the end all be all. It's always nothing but truth, you know? Oh, you're fine, gamer. Don't worry about it. Also, hi, Archeon. Anyway.
What I do is do or don't. I'd like to briefly talk about something I desperately want to see regarding Teclis. I want him to once again meet Gotrek. Oh, so badly. I want Felix to come back more than that, but holy hell was it funny seeing them interact in the Gotrek and Felix book he's in. Gotrek scared the ever-loving shit out of him. Granted, it was partially because they were in these weird magical tunnels and Teclis didn't want to go all out in case he collapsed reality around them, but the point still stands that this...
That does sound, in fact, like a scary trade-off, and I can't blame him for not wanting to do that.
One particularly angry dwarf scared someone who can blow up cities if he wants to. I want Gotrek to hear about how that one elf he reluctantly helped all those years ago is apparently a god now, show up in Hysh, and just cause the biggest scene possible. Just start demanding for help finding Felix, or where to find his old axe. Or even just start complaining about how the mortal realms must be truly horrid if some stupid elf from their stupid little island is what passes for a god nowadays. I'm imagining Gotrek ranting in the middle of the public square in Settler's Gain or something, and a bunch of Lumineth are are confused why their god is not only preventing them from arresting him, but looks utterly terrified at the thought of them actually trying to apprehend this one annoying dwarf. He knows damn well Gotrek would rip out his tongue before he can finish saying power word kill. Alright, do or don't Teclis. Lore positives, he is the god of the Lumineth. So if you want your army to be led by the faction leader, it's hard to go higher up the chain of command than God.
Oh, I do remember liking the Lumineth, the Lumineth school. I remember liking them. Also, to me, it's very funny that we have this model as the image for this part about Teclis, but like you can't even see him. His head's cut off because it's just centered. It's so funny. Cow Mountain. What's Cow Mountain?
God. I'm pretty sure Tyrion technically outranks him as a deity in Heish, but Tyrion doesn't have a mini yet. If you want a wise leader to command your army, it's hard to get wiser than Teclis.
Tyrion doesn't have a mini?
Selenar is the one who ultimately is behind the Lumineth society as it is, but Teclis is the one who sought the spirit out.
That seems a little disrespectful. Your twin has a model and you don't? I'd feel slighted.
And if nothing else, he's always been about the cooperation between the different races to fight back the evils of the world, which in terms of Warhammer is the pinnacle of wisdom. And yet, as I've hopefully made clear, if you want a character with some vulnerabilities to them and one who isn't just a Mary Sue, Teclis is perhaps the ultimate choice in that regard. He's
I love a man with vulnerabilities.
humble for who and what he is, and he even feels inadequate sometimes, even as of Age of Sigmar. At one point during AOS, he has flashbacks to his time in Firm in Bed while Tyrion was being the best elf ever. He was a mage bar none even before he became a god, but he's always has some edges to his character that really flesh him out. And of course, he's one of the good guys in Age of Sigmar. While the Lumineth may or may not have some spicy mind control stuff going on, Teclis doesn't appear to be a part of it. He's always been about cooperation between men, elves, and dwarfs if they'll bother.
I don't know. Spicy mind control sounds like you should look into that, Teclis. Sounds like there's some good applications for some spicy mind control.
Listening, and at least from what I've gathered, Teclis is behind any of the 1984 crap the Lumineth are pulling. He even helped bring the mortals in AOS up to speed with his Enlightenment engines, and that wasn't something he necessarily did because it benefited him. It seems like he just wanted to help. And now rules positives. I mentioned before in the Lumineth video his spell casting shenanigans, but I'll briefly go over it again.
I don't know shit about how to actually play the game.
If you cast one spell, you get a guaranteed value of 12 and it cannot be unbound. If you cast 2, guaranteed value of 12. If you cast 4, guaranteed value of 10. As you'd expect, he's got some serious magical firepower. And of course, automatically unbind one endless spell and one enemy spell. Nagash rocking up with the Hand of Dust? No, he isn't. Chaos Sorcerers about to unleash the might of Tzeentch upon the Lumineth? No, they aren't. I put good money on him being able to out-magic Magnus the Red, truth be told. If you think those are the only things about him I covered last time because it's all he has to offer, then you're solely mistaken.
Isn't spicy mind control one of your tags? It really should be now after this conversation.
If they're within range of his aura of Selenar ability, add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for all Lumineth mages. You might think this requires you to build an army solely based around the wizard units, but then you remember that the basic Lumineth infantry is a wizard unit. The range is anything from 16 inches to 6, depending on how far down his damage table he is. 6 inches isn't great, but by the time he's down there, you've more than likely gotten plenty of use out of the ability. He can also give everything within 18 inches of him a 5-up word save. I like how the rules say if successfully cast, as if it is physically possible for him to not cast the spell. I mean, I guess if you aren't doing the 1 spell guarantee, someone can unbind it, but even then they have to try to unbind it, whereas you just go, this is happening now.
I think it's funny that the spell cast distance is in inches. I guess it makes sense, but it is still funny to me as someone who has no idea how to play the game.
Oh, and if a unit within that aura of his is affected by either a spell or endless spell, you just roll yourself a dice, and on a 4-up, they not only aren't affected by the spell, but can then pick an enemy unit in range and give them D3 mortal wounds. Just to be a prick. Oh, and he knows spells from 3 different lores, as in all of the spells from 3 different lores, not including the ones he already knows on his character sheet. In melee range, he's no slouch either, with his Sword of Teclis having a pretty damn nice kick to it, and Selenar being able to maul fools that try to take them on. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. As for his tankiness, it's respectable. Again, not the best by a long shot, but he's pretty beefy for a wizard. 16 wounds and a 4-up save means that unless you get...
He works out. These are out of date. Yeah, it's an older video.
Absolutely obliterated by both bad rolls and everything the enemy has to offer, Teclis will be sticking around for at least a few turns. And as for his movement, 10 movement is solid. Not the best within the Lumineth or in general, but he can also fly, so if he's really got to get out of a sticky situation, it shouldn't be too hard. As for the lore cons of Teclis, by playing him, you are playing someone at least in part responsible for the world ending. So Teclis doesn't necessarily have the best track record. Prior to that, he'd been doing pretty alright, but that's the kind of black mark that kind of takes up most of a permanent record. Also, if you're the kind of person who really likes making up a narrative and making a story out of your game in general, there's two things to keep in mind about Teclis. One is that as one of the gods of Ice, he's not going to be involving himself in some low-level skirmish. He's going to be fighting in the most realm-shaking battles, not some goblin raid in the middle of nowhere. Two, if you lose the battle, you have probably doomed Hysh in the Lumineth, so try not to do that, yeah?
Oh,
Truth be told, though, that's kind of all I got for his lore cons. I like Teclis, so it's hard for me to come up with bad things to say about the guy.
I agree.
Maybe it's because in fantasy he had to take potions on the daily to survive, and that's not a far shot away from insulin. As for tabletop...
That's true, actually. That's pretty funny. In the Elven Kingdom, a dwarf starts a brawl. The guards ask the dwarf to come with them. The dwarf comes back. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. Teclis is a -1? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it's about the rules, Rowan already said they're like outdated, so. Plus, I don't even know how the game is played. Pancreas is just letting us know for the people who do know.
Though, here we go. He is,
Eleanor.
despite his toughness, still a mage. So my usual caveats of not 1v1ing someone like Gotrek or Archeon in a fight apply here as well. Even other characters that aren't one of those can put hurt on him in range. If Gordrak gets on top of you after he butchered his way through your wardens, you're in danger. And if the Celestin Prime is put in reserve and then Deep Strike's right next to him, it's not going to be looking good for Teclis, especially given that Karl France has quite the amount of guaranteed mortal wounds he can cause. He's certainly tanky for a wizard, but the key thing to take from that phrase is for a wizard. Don't let the free guilds line up the artillery against him, because it's going to hurt. And of course, his price. In the real world, he costs $170 US. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
In game, he costs 700 points. That's not quite as pricey as Dagash is, but it's enough points that if you're taking Teclis in your army, there's decent odds that you're building your army entirely around Teclis. For reference, the second most expensive...
Wow, his model's 170. I was like, damn, I want his model. It seems really cool. I don't know about for 170, though.
unit the Lumineth has is worth 440 points. If he gets killed earlier or before you can get use out of him, it's very likely going to cost you the game. On top of that, 700 points means that you do not have much room for other units, even in larger games. If you only want to use Teclis as a source of DPS, you can probably find better options, at least in terms of pricing. With the big cow monster, even if you include a Stone Mage to support it, you're still going to have over 100 points more than if you'd taken Teclis. Elthari not only hits harder in melee, but despite having less wounds, he's tankier because he has a higher save and halves melee and missile damage. And if you're fighting Chaos, Lyriel Uthrali isn't bad at all because he does more damage to them with his Demon Bane weapon, as well as only being 170 points. So if you want balls to the wall magic, you want Teclis. But if you want to lean a bit more into the traditional warfare with the Lumineth, there's a lot of options that are probably going to suit you more than he does. But wait, I'm
outdated
not done,
info, got
Teclis
it.
is in Total Warhammer, baby. He is a fantastic wizard, if not the best in the game, then top 3 easily. Much like he did in lore, he can just vomit out chain lightning. He can also unlock all of the 8 Winds of Magic's passive special abilities, which means every time he casts a spell, he buffs his army and debuffs the enemy. As for how I recommend using Teclis, it's very simple. Download the Recruit Defeated Legendary Lords mod, because playing an actual campaign as Teclis is suffering. As is well known, he was part of the Lustria Thunderdome in Warhammer 2. In Mortal Empires, he had no one to confederate with in Lustria, and almost everyone there either wanted to kill him or was a lizardman going to capture settlements he wanted. If you tried to declare war on them and take them back, the lizards would come together to beat the shit out of you, assuming Harkon or Lokir hadn't already been doing that. In Immortal Empires, Creative Assembly decided to fix this problem by moving him to the Southlands. Instead of fighting pirates, rats, and lizards, he now gets to fight Kairos Fateweaver, Skarbrand, Manfred von Karstein, and pretty much the entire Tomb Kings faction. This is of course in addition to all sorts of minor factions of rats and lizards. Don't worry though, if you pick him you get Oxyotl nearby, so rest assured while Zeech demons are choosing you with their Halo Energy Shield and Skarbrand is sending you to Khorne personally, a chameleon will be taking potshots at them in between your face-pounding sessions.
That's what I love to hear. eBay or third-party retail to the rescue. Is it cheaper there? When I was looking for my Lady Olinder, It was still cheaper. I actually ordered through Amazon, or I think it's through what's it called? Shoot. It was through Walmart, I think. I'm pretty sure. It was like a seller on Walmart selling it. When I looked on eBay, they were already all assembled. And also they were like the same price or more. So I feel like nothing beats MSRP, but maybe I'm just looking in the wrong places.
Just download the damn mod and play Tyrion or someone. That way when Teclis inevitably bites it, you can defend Ulthuan with him or something. Fuck, man, at least Alethanar is mostly just fighting Dark Elves, not every variety of nasty in the Warhammer world except for Slaanesh demons. I forgot about all the Slaanesh demons down here, so you know what? I lied about the last part. You fight everything. So that's Teclis of the White Tower, or any number of accolades you could give the guy. Pretty cool dude. Shame his role in life is to fix everyone's problems before getting kicked in the ribs for the 10th time that
I should meet him. Maybe he'll fix me.
week. He's kind of like if the Lamenters were a single person, now that I'm thinking about it. Not a one-to-one comparison, but he's about as lucky as they are. Nah, I take that back. Felix is if the Lamenters were one dude. Either way, time to wrap up. As always, thank you to my wonderful channel members. You are the Teclis to my rest of the Warhammer world, keeping me going through the coming storm.
Local hobby stores.
I hope that none of you have tuberculosis, because otherwise that comparison is going to be a bit dark. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe or become a member. Either way, thank you for watching, and take care out there.
I mean, now, like,
for being a masterful wizard, you'd think Teclis would invest more into healing spells. I get that high magic is supposed to be the ultimate form of magic, but seriously, even if it never cured his curse, it would have at least helped when he was blocking arrows with his face for the 1000th time. Seriously, dude, at least carry some band-aids around with you.
True. Real and true. Oh, wait. Pirate Admiral Emperor. I kind of want to watch this one instead of the other one I said we were going to watch. A vampire pirate admiral. YouTube recommendations fucking got my ass.
Has there ever been a single person?
Recommendations got my ass. I think I will watch this one. We'll save the witch hunters for another time. Luthor, hearken. Hark, all herald angels sing. Watch Thankwall. Which one's Thankwall? This one? Yeah, I think Teclis is still my husband for sure. Pinker's glazing Teclis. You want to use the terms new in box or new on sprue? Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Warhammer lore, the way to a man's heart. Hi, Heed. What if I said we're also painting and building models on this channel lately? I'm ready for my line of men wanting to date me. Where are they? Clearly, I'm so desirable with my interest in Warhammer. I'm so quirky and unique. Wow. The funny rat. I think I'm gonna watch this one. But I learned about the Skaven once. I'm sure we'll learn about them more. There was a video about the like vampire pirates, but it was too long, so. Thanks, Heat. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think Teclis is definitely still husband material. I love that he has a tragic backstory. You know, he was this crippled child. And then he overcame it. And then he overcame it again. Like, that's pretty cool. And he seems nice and humble. So, sign me up, baby. Teclis is mine. Also, his model looked pretty cool. So, I'm down. But yeah, I don't know. The YouTube recommendations got my ass. So, we're going to switch to this video instead. Which is Luthor Harkon, which I feel like I've heard this name before. Maybe you guys would have to correct me, but I feel like I've heard Luthor before. I don't know. We'll find out.
Has there ever been a single person who hasn't at least briefly dreamed about what it'd be like to be a pirate? I mean, come on now.
Have I dreamed of what it would be like to be a pirate? Have I? I think I've dreamed about what it would be like to be captured by pirates or saved by pirates. You know, who hasn't had a little, oh no, my boat got taken over by pirates and now I'm their captor kind of, you know. Like, that's a totally, like, we've all had that thought, right? I don't know about being a pirate. I think I'm too nice to be a pirate. I don't think I've fantasized about being a pirate. Just being captured by a pirate, you know, preferably like a hot one. Luthor was mentioned at the end of the Fantasy Factions video. Okay, so I have heard the name. Man pounded 3 feet into the dirt by the enemy. Woman says, I'll paint Warhammer minis with you. Man springs out of the ground, attacking with an Omega Godfist. We love a hunky and rough but gold-hearted pirate. Exactly. Honcho gets it. I'm just looking for my rough, hunky, beardless, secretly heart of gold teddy bear, but outwardly like harsh and maybe a little broken that I can fix pirate. I mean, male or female. I'll take them all. Anyway. Let's just get back to Luthor now. I got a little too invested in my mental image.
Now, I can't be the only one who watched Pirates of the Caribbean as a kid and thought, man, that looks so cool. I wish I could do that. Swinging down from the mast to duel other pirates.
No, I didn't want to do that.
Boarding enemy ships and looting.
I knew I would break my fucking back if I tried to, like, fling down on the rope I would absolutely bust ass and die.
All that sweet plunder. God, I miss Pirates of the Caribbean Online. That was such a fun game. But then you learn about what pirates really lived like, with scurvy and constantly being on the run, and probably being shot on sight at almost every port you could have gone to. Not exactly a glamorous lifestyle. But the dream still lives on in fiction even to this day. To some extent, we romanticize what it's like to be a pirate.
That's
you can do what you want because a pirate lives free, after all. But
a pirate's life for me.
What if you weren't just a pirate? What if, in the ultimate middle school notebook doodle come to life, you were an insane vampire necromancer pirate who sailed the seven seas, fought Aztec lizards riding dinosaurs, and can use the power of the ocean itself to drown your foes?
This does sound like a Tumblr fan fiction self-insert writing.
Assuming, of course, the 500 cannons you brought to the battlefield weren't good enough on their own. That dream may not be something you and I can ever achieve, but for Luthor Harkon, that's everyday life. So,
I mean, he could use a little something, but I don't hate him.
Get ready to set sail, because today we're talking about one of the silliest, most entertaining Warhammer characters to ever exist. What a fun guy. Luthor Harkon's origin is something that even he doesn't know. One of his origin stories is that he was once a man named Looter of the Harkoni tribe. They were a tribe of humans who lived near Nehekara, specifically Lamia, which is important for vampire reasons. It's said that Looter managed to rise to quite the prominent position, becoming the head of the city's harbor guard under the command of none other than Avarash himself. Aside from the fact his name is basically the same, I mean Looter is just Luthor with the H-O taken out, Lamia is where all the vampire nonsense started in Warhammer Fantasy. Incidentally, if this origin is true, it means that Luthor is not only a vampire, but one of the first and potentially a blood dragon, given his subordinate status to Avarash.
He might be a blood dragon, vampire, necromancer, pirate. That's crazy. Too many titles, dude. Pick a struggle.
With Avarash for a while, and likely helped defend Lamia when the living besieged it, but beyond that, there really isn't too much to say on the matter. Of course, there's also the possibility that he was originally a mortal necromancer from the eastern portions of the Empire. This also tracks in a few different ways, chiefly among them being the fact that on the Vampire Coast where he's most prominent, there's a city called New Beckefin. Beckefin is a city from Ostermark where theoretically Luthor once resided as a mortal. Also as evidence is the fact that the eastern portions of the Empire are where the undead usually cause problems for Sigmar's realm, and the fact that Luthor himself doesn't sound much like an Ehekaran when he speaks. Granted, he doesn't sound that much like an Imperial citizen either. He sounds like every pirate ever, but he certainly doesn't have the same speech patterns as Tomb King's characters. But who knows? Maybe he's just a weeaboo for the Empire of Man. I get it. His true origin almost doesn't matter, though, either way, since he doesn't really remember his mortal life and only knows that one night he was born anew. He's never tried to dig into who he once was or go back home, so I'm just going to take a stance and say that if Luther Harkon doesn't care about his origin, we shouldn't either.
Oh my god, he's broken. He's hiding. He cares, but he can't show that he cares and then fail because he doesn't know and he can't find it. I can fix him, that's for sure. For sure how he's thinking. Not a literal dragon. Okay, but it sounded like a literal dragon, in which case it was very cool. If it's not a literal dragon, I feel like it's a little less cool. It kind of loses all its meaning as a title, whatever it was. I already forgot what kind of dragon it was.
He also doesn't exhibit any bloodline traits, further proving that his backstory is kind of irrelevant. Depending on which one you believe, though, we either cut ahead a good 100 or a few thousand years to the year 876 IC. The scene, an Imperial merchant ship sailing around doing its thing. Unfortunately for this ship, it was attacked by Norscan raiders, who do what they do best and slaughter everyone aboard so they can loot it for profit and glory in the name of the Dark Gods. Much more fortunately, however, at least for us, was the fact that this ship contained Luther Harkon's coffin aboard it. He was escaping from witch hunters and smuggled himself aboard this ship out of Marienburg. The Norscans saw that it was something valuable looking and took it with them on their journey, which for was one reason or another taking them towards the lands of Lustria. If you've seen part 3 of JoJo, it's honestly...
I have not. They're basically Blood Knights. It's a vampire order. Okay, fair enough, I guess.
Just the beginning of that, because Luthor eventually awoke from his coffin, having either gotten himself out or been rudely interrupted by the Norscans, and by the time he reached Lustria, the entire crew had been turned into his undead puppets and minions. Now normally...
Wow, imagine just waking up from a little nap, and the whole crew is just converted. How the fuck? Vampires known as blood dragons got their name because their founder defeated and drank the blood of a dragon and never needed blood again. Whoa, that's so cool. Damn. That's like canon that happened. It's not like rumored. That's hella cool. I love that.
This would be the end of the story. I mean, sure, the specifics are a bit unique, but a vampire waking up and zombifying a whole bunch of people is nothing new in Warhammer. In Stirland, that's called Tuesday. But despite what would eventually happen to him, Luther Harkon is apparently the luckiest bastard in all of Warhammer, short of Caiaphas Cain. Because the exact spot he ended up staking his claim in Lustria, what would become known as the Vampire Coast because of his shenanigans, was geographically perfect for his needs. The Great Ocean, aka the Atlantic Ocean but with a donut in it, has ocean currents and whatnot like all oceans do. Stay with me on this 5th grade geography lesson, I promise it's important. Even in our own world, sailing when we only had wooden ships was oftentimes more art than science. Add in the fact this is Warhammer and doing literally anything has a significant fatality rate, and you get a whole lot of dead sailors and shipwrecked vessels. The Vampire Coast region of Lustria not only is incredibly hard to navigate safely, but ocean currents also bring an inordinate amount of these wrecks and bodies directly towards it. Luther Harkon, through sheer accidental circumstances, landed on the one site in Lustria, maybe the whole planet, where bodies will just come to him. So because he washed ashore on the mother of all corpse deposits that refills itself, he just developed his undead army without really needing to put real effort into it. I'm sure he put effort in raising the dead, you have to do that. But most necromancers and vampires need to either quietly dig through crypts and graveyards, or kill a whole lot of people first before they get their army. Not Luther. He just waits for the next batch of unlucky souls to drown, and when they wash up, he gets free zombies.
You know what we call that, chat? That's recycling. Luther, he's an environmentalist. He's resourceful. He's economically conscious. He doesn't want to ruin lives or, you know, like do anything that's gonna damage the, like, he's a humanitarian. He's cleaning the ocean for heck's sake. It's literally like, you know, the people that you... I think we can ignore that part and we can focus on the humanitarian aspect of what he does, you know?
Comes from. High Elven sailors named the area the vampire.
Rip stream? What do you mean rip stream? My stream didn't go anywhere. I've been here the whole time. I think it was a you problem. Don't scare me like that.
Empire Coast, both because of Luthor Harkon and because of the general undead spooky vibes it gives off. Sirens wailing and bringing sailors to their doom.
It's buffering a ton? Really? Mango, thank you for the 6 months. Okay, DD, welcome back home. Lost connection for a second. It doesn't say that I've dropped any frames. Although admittedly my my bit rate is unstable. But it has done that for a couple streams now. I don't know why it keeps spiking above 6,000. It's not supposed to. So I wonder if that's why it's buffering. Yours drops as well. Okay, Karth. I don't know why. It doesn't say I've dropped any frames or anything. So maybe it's actually like a Twitch side and not a me thing. Because if I disconnected or dropped frames, OBS would tell me. And it says I'm still live and there's no drop frames and everything's green. So this is a we blame Twitch. GG easy, go next. But okay, anyway, back to the video.
Mist blocking people's sight and forcing them aground where the undead wait to bring them into watery graves. Really, even if natural ocean currents didn't do you in already, going near the vampire coast is a great way to get yourself killed. He even went through the effort of clearing away the jungle at the point where 5 smaller rivers meet the sea to give the illusion of a safe haven for ships to temporarily ground themselves at. It's an illusion because the moment they land, they find out each of them has both a fort waiting to gun them down, as well as swamp monsters that are just there because Lustria is a miniature Catachan. Now guaranteed to have a military for basically eternity, Luthor Harkon decided some empire building would suit him quite nicely. He based it off the Empire of Man, naturally, giving us another point in favor of him originally being from the Empire. Of course, to run an empire, you need slightly more than undead zombies. Zombies are all
true. You might need some brains, some brawn.
well and good for the army, and Luthors are even just a little bit smarter than the normal zombies of Warhammer, but you need someone who can count to at least 100 to run things at a governmental level. So he divided his realm into 6 districts, one based on each of those 5 rivers, and the 6th and main one based around New Beckafin, in the area known as the Blood Swamps. Each of them is run by a trusted vampire or ghoul, with trusted meaning they know full well that if they betray Luthor, they're going to explode. He crowned himself emperor, made a throne out of bones held up by zombies, and then decided he was going to be a pain in the ass of the lizardmen for all time. Sometimes instead of emperor, he just calls himself the Pirate King or Arch Grand Commodore or something equally goofy, but he's in charge, and the name is just a way of flaunting his ego. And this is where he overstepped his bounds just a little bit too much. He and his forces discovered the city of Huatl, an abandoned lizardman city that Luthor felt had something in it that would make him even stronger. After about 3 weeks, he found a sealed chamber in pristine condition covered in magical glyphs, and was only slightly deterred by the fact that every zombie he sent in there almost instantly withered into nothing as it drained the magical energies keeping them alive.
Whoa, so he found a place that drained the magical energy. That seems crazy. How does anyone go in there then?
Making the faulty assumption that he was just built better than that, Luthor used his own dark magic to try and deal with the chamber's glyphs. But if you know anything about the Lizardmen, you know that for all that Luthor Harkon is a fun and lovable rogue, he's not quite at the pay grade of sorcerers the Lizardmen usually have to deal with. Kairos Fateweaver is the minimum to successfully be dealing with Lizardman magic, and Luthor is no Lord of Change. The room started collapsing around him, and he realized the glyphs were not only absorbing the magic he threw at them, but his very life essence as well. Barely escaping with his unlife, Luthor Harkon emerged from Huatl a broken man. Quite literally, actually. His mind shattered into a dozen different personalities, because the Lizardmen could apparently induce multiple personality disorder. At all times, they're battling for control over his mind. And if none of them are dominant, he just stands there motionless until one of them does gain control.
So he has to deal... He's dealing with the 8-sided DID every day that are actively fighting against each other to take control. That's terrifying.
He was at one point playable on the tabletop, and that was actually part of his rules.
Wow.
I believe it was if you rolled a 1 through a 3, he gained the stupidity special rule. This also gave him a very curious condition on top of being the main character from the movie Split. The winds of magic cease to be able to connect to him. In fact, he's almost a blank. Magic ceases to work around him, and he's resistant to any spells people try to cast on him. Aside from being able to reanimate and control the undead, there's no blasting spells for Luther Harkon. If you thought that would have put a damn...
Oh. Huh. Sorry, I thought I lost. I thought I lost something for a second. But I think I'm okay. Testing. Is someone in Twitch chat let me know they can hear me and see me and all that? Or YouTube too, but I know YouTube's buffering, so... Or at least that's what you said. All good? Okay, thank you. There is something on OBS, and I was worried it meant that I dropped, so... Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry about that. Okay. I'll continue.
On his plans, however, you're dead wrong. As he happily tells you almost every time you click on him in Total War, his madness is not weakness. The only thing any of his personalities agree on is looting lizardmen artifacts to find a cure for his condition, which is also something he wanted to do anyways before.
Well, so he's looking for lizardmen artifacts to cure his condition? That's kind of cool.
Before he went insane. And after this happened to him, he still managed to make himself into such a pain in the ass for the lizardmen that they have entire prophecies dedicated to dealing with him. Entire armies will be mustered just to fight him, and these aren't small battles either. If he needs to, he'll build up his forces for hundreds of years until he can march into the jungle with enough zombies to trample it beneath him. One of them, in the year 930 IC, required Nakai the Wanderer to show up, and if you're fighting anything less than an apocalypse-level battle, he's not showing up. There's also the time he stole the city of Axolotl. I don't mean Luther Harkon showed up and stole a bunch of important stuff. No, I mean Luther Harkon rolled up with the endless horde of the undead and stole the city. Everything the skinks didn't manage to get away in time to prevent him from grabbing it was stolen.
Oh my god. They took everything? Even like the bricks and shit that made the buildings? That's kind of hilarious. Where do rainbows go when they've been bad? To Prism, so they have time to reflect on what they've done. That's a good one. I should try to remember that one. That's hilarious, though. That they just stole everything.
Outright said that not a single stone was left stacked atop another when he was done with it, and he came home a whole lot of magical artifacts richer.
Oh my god.
He just does this every now and then. Well, he loses every now and then, sure. The Slant can't ultimately do anything about it because he just doesn't have to deal with magic, and the other lizardmen can chop through all the zombies they want. It doesn't matter. He just goes home to the vampire coast and waits for another 100 years for 1,000 new ships to crash and give him a new horde. In the year 1492, when the old world sailed the oceans blue, civilizations like the Empire, Bretonia, and even the Norskins began coming to Lustria in ever greater numbers. Luther Harkon is many things, but he's not one to let a chance to grow his power slip away. So with all the knowledge and artifacts he had gained over the years, he created the Ebony Skulls for those who came to the New World with less than pure hearts. These things are the epitome of a deal with the devil. At any point, the person they're given to can smash them on the ground, and they instantly get not only necromantic powers, but the ability to call on some of Luther's servants. As a downside, their souls belong to him now. So his forces just kept growing and growing. More ships, more zombies, more vampires and ghouls all joined his ranks. And it's amazing, because in spite of all of this, he is no way a major world power. 99% of the time...
Really? With all this, with the endless army making and everything, he's not like a powerful dude? He's not respected in the world? That's crazy.
He's either sitting there in a stupor because his mind is going through another civil war, or he's just bothering random lizardman cities. But he's been so successful at it that if he decided to invade the Empire or something, he'd probably blitz through it faster than Manfred could ever hope of doing so. Speaking of the Empire, he stole a massive cannon called the Queen Bess. There's no special lore for this. It's just a massive gun he looted off an Empire ship.
Yeah.
It's a medieval Mac cannon.
He was like, big gun? Give me that big gun. Look at how big it is. What the fuck? It's not a gun, it's a cannon.
And he uses it to blow things up. This lore alone makes him more interesting than a solid 50% of the Primarchs. Since he was insane now, he realized he had to put just a bit more power in the hands of people who aren't him, because when he's in one of his less lucid moments, he needs someone to take charge. He ended up getting two main guys to go for with that. One of them is his right-hand man, Captain Trecla. Drekla is an Ailstorm album cover. When you think of the words vampire pirate, this is the guy you think of. He's dumb to the point he can barely think for himself, and wherever Luther goes, he follows. He's loyal beyond all belief to his captain, and would follow him to the mouth of hell if need be. The other major person Luther relies on is Black Jens. Black Jens is a cleverer than average ghoul who
what a vibe he has.
Runs the day-to-day administration of the Vampire Coast when Luther is having an episode. If the lights aren't on in Luther's head, Black Jens takes care of the dealing with his vampire admirals and all the other crap that needs to be done. Black Jens is loyal, but every now and then his conscience whispers to him that he should break free from Luther's control, and those whispers are always getting louder. Spoiler alert, this never happens because we all know how Warhammer fantasy plotlines end, but it is a cool bit of development for the Vampire Coast.
I know, I like that. I mean, it could still happen, right?
2471, close to modern Warhammer fantasy, and 1 year after the birth of our Lord and Savior Karl Franz, he and Morathi briefly worked together against the Lizardmen to steal more of their stuff. Luther was a bit too greedy, though, and unfortunately was too insane to understand that being able to work with Morathi is its own reward, so he argued just a bit too hard for a greater share of the loot. He is still a pirate, though, to be fair. You can't blame him that much for it. Morathi locked him in one of the treasure vaults for her part, which doesn't seem to have actually amounted to anything because he shows up later. In fact, end times now. Luther, for his part, has both great moments to shine, as well as what's tied for the most infuriating end to a character during the end times. He shares a very similar fate with a character who dies at the very end of the end times, in fact, for a bit of a spoiler, but we'll get to that soon enough. When Nagash comes back, Luther pledges his services to him and becomes the Mortarch of the Abyss. Maybe he did it because he saw the writing on the wall and knew that any undead not serving Nagash was going to die an abrupt death. Maybe he thought Nagash could cure him of his condition. Or maybe he was just bored. Luther Harkon is like an orc.
I love just being bored and swearing my allegiance to a god of death. For sure, that was it. I'm positive.
Him doing something because he wants to is a perfectly valid reason. He's an insane vampire pirate. He does what he wants, and damn what do you think about it.
That is also a fair point. He has like 8 brains arguing in his head at all times. I think he can do whatever he wants, and he doesn't need to justify it.
Nagash looked at his massive fleet of ships from every era of history and ordered him to destroy the Tomb King's fleet of Zandri. For anyone else, or even any other faction, this would be a massive undertaking that would almost certainly not be worth the effort. For Luther Harkon, a man who had spent almost 2,000 years being a pirate and building up his fleet, this was a walk in the park. At the Mortis Delta, where the river Vitae flows into the sea, he crashed his forces into the banks. He lost an entire third of his fleet on the reefs of the shore, and it just didn't matter. A third of Infinity gone still leaves Infinity left. The Tomb King leading Khemri's navy, King Kalhazar, patiently waited for the catapults he had on hand to tear Luther's navy apart.
I love the vibe of this this character design. You know, like the skull look with the mummy, like Egyptian vibe with the like feather coat of death, cape of death. Very cool. You wish you could do whatever you want without having to justify it. Well, be as cool as a Warhammer main character, and then maybe it could be considered. But until then, you're just a man, and you'll have to justify everything you do. The Tomb Kings are very cool. I agree. I like their vibe a lot.
But even as the battle between the two navies raged, all of Luther's ships that had crashed, been sunk or destroyed since the start of the battle were still a problem, because they were filled with zombies. You know how in World War Z, the book, not the movie, zombies could wash across the ocean and start an outbreak that way? That happened.
Oh, I didn't know.
They washed up alongside their vampire commanders, and all poor Kalazar saw was flashes of dark magic and shambling corpses walking up and down the bank. To make matters worse for the Tomb King defenders, Luther had taken a bunch of salamander bladders to use as makeshift flamethrowers.
Oh my god.
Blowing things up as it does. Mac rounds, in fact, were deployed in atmosphere. This was far and away the largest naval battle in Warhammer's history, and while Luther's fleet was vastly reduced in size, the zombies made it a shore and Hekara's fleet was no more. Luthor even rewarded Drekla with Kalhazar's head as a gift for his excellent service in destroying the Screaming Skull catapults on the shore. Let it never be said that Luthor doesn't treat his crew right. For reference, by the way, even after all of this, he still had 150 ships left over that were properly seaworthy. He had quite the hoarding problem. With the Tomb King's navy destroyed, Luthor decided he might as well plunder Zandri while he was there. He sent Drekla out first, and Drekla had the tremendous misfortune of coming upon Manfred von Karstein, who was running away from Zandri's main army. Drekla and Manfred asked Luthor to get in the fight, which he did, but in his own way. Instead of joining them directly in battle, he got it in his mind that if he killed the Hierophant of the army, the rest of the Tomb Kings would crumble. So he gathered a whole bunch of fell bats, grew bat wings himself, because apparently he can just do that, and he just jumped the Hierophant with a bunch of bats. I would like to retract my earlier statement. Luthor Harkon is more interesting than every Primarch's lore. This unfortunately didn't kill the army outright, but the Tomb Kings stopped respawning after that, so it still led to a victory. After that, they went to Khemri to join the main battle. They were a bit late because every step of the way Luthor would halt the entire force to ransack Tomb King structures for loot, which pissed Manfred off, but Luthor will not be denied his pirate booty. They helped cover the flank of the main force from the Tomb King reinforcements.
Oh my god, so they're on this rampage, but they still have to stop every time. They still have to stop every time there's like a pyramid or something so that he can loot. He can't ignore his pirate instincts. That's really funny. That's such a funny little like tidbit.
When they got there. Honestly, not too much to tell. After that, it's off to Sylvania. Nagash needed people defending his ritual to become death, so he called every undead back to the province. Luthor and Manfred were once again working together, although working together is putting it very generously. Manfred hated Luthor, and Luthor wasn't exactly Manfred's #1 fan either. Between a shrine to Sigmar and an inn known as the Dead and Buried, side note by the way, some bartender in Sylvania had a great sense of humor with that name, Manfred and his forces did battle with Nurgle demons led by a possessed Isabella von Karstein. Also someone known as the Nameless, or Drakenfels if you're an older fantasy fan, but who cares about him? All he did was mix some zombies in with the Nurgle demons, don't worry about him. Manfred held the brunt of the forces at bay, and once he fully committed to fighting the demons, Harkon's own force attacked from the flank. Now on paper, this might seem like all is well and good for the undead. Do remember, however, that Luthor is not much of a mage. He's not a mage at all, in fact, and while he can still resurrect corpses, he's not quite as good at it as someone like Manfred. So his forces weren't as effective at this point, especially because Sylvania is a landlocked province and he can't just rely on the Queen Bess blowing people up from offshore. Beasts of Nurgle kept plowing into Luthor's lines, making things even worse for the pirate. For his part...
Wait, I'm confused. This whole time he was trying to do something for Nagash, right? So is Luthor... Are the vampire pirates like chaos? Or are they kind of their own thing? I'm a little confused by that. I thought... I don't know.
He had one of the angrier personalities take over, and he charged headfirst into the fray. Do you know how Manfred reacted to this? Guess, viewer, what do you think Manfred did in response to seeing an ally of his start fighting? Did you say weaken the bindings keeping Luthor's army together? Because if you did, you're right. While they're fighting demons, no less. This let some of the beasts of Nurgle pounce on Luthor, which wasn't enough to kill him, but it was still a colossal dick move. Manfred...
Death is its own faction. Vampires are death, and death is different than chaos. Oh, this is the first I'm hearing of that. Death as a whole is led by Nagash, but it's different than chaos. Oh shit. I didn't even know. This is the first I'm learning of this. Okay.
Then retreated to the Dead and Buried Inn, murdering one of Luthor's vampire admirals to heal his dread abyssal mount. Luthor had slipped in unnoticed while Manfred did this and nearly slit his throat with his cutlass, but Vlad showed up with reinforcements and just barely managed to calm everyone down. Luthor was glad Vlad had showed up to take care of Manfred and was privately happy for it, because even though he really wanted to kill Manfred, he knew Manfred's a slippery little bastard and would probably find a way to turn the tables. Or I was misreading what happened and he didn't want to piss off Vlad by killing Manfred. That one sounds a lot cooler so let's go with that. Theoretically choosing to help Manfred defend the courtyard of the inn, Luther and Dracula stood at the opposite side of it to be as far from the slimy weasel as possible. Once the fighting resumed, Luther was all over the place. He not only flew back into proper madness, but it was so bad that he was either speaking in pirate speak or was just completely unintelligible.
Wait, what does pirate speak sound like? Now I'm so curious. That's crazy. I guess pirate speak must be like, I could probably picture it, like, right? I can hear it in my head. But that's crazy that he lets like one of the personalities take over, so he's just like a fit of rage and you don't know what he's saying. Undead are anathema to chaos and are very hard to corrupt. But if a sentient undead chooses so, they can become a chaos champion and all that entails. So death is more... I mean, it just exists for everybody, right? I just wasn't aware that it was its own thing, like doing its own thing. I thought it would be under like chaos or not. So it's interesting.
He'd be swinging left and right, butchering zombies and unclean ones, constantly going, yar, avast. Dracula had to keep yanking him back to prevent him from jumping into the horde, and at this point, I'm fully confident Luther's mind was actually put back together briefly, and every personality just wanted to kill. A great unclean one burst through the lines and started smashing what was left of the undead forces, and Luther simply looked at it and tried to 1v1 it. Dracula pulled him out of the great unclean one's way and saved his life one last time at the cost of his own, being smashed flat by the demon's weapon. Everyone, pour out your finest of ales for Dracula. May we all be so lucky to have a first mate as dedicated as he.
Right? Wow, we could be so lucky to have a friend like that. Someone that loves us like that. Whew.
Manfred, for his part, jumped at the opportunity given and helped finish off the Great Unclean One, sealing its essence to fully heal his mount so he can make a break for it. Having gone back to being as sane as he possibly can, Luther also went to join Manfred on his steed to get out. But unfortunately, everyone, Luther Harkon made the greatest mistake a Warhammer character could ever make, trusting Manfred to not be the absolute worst. And so, because Manfred von Karstein is Manfred von Karstein and cannot do anything without being the single greatest dickhead in the franchise, eclipsing even Erebus by a factor of 10, Manfred got Luther killed. Luther had grabbed onto Manfred's mount, and Manfred cut his arm off at the elbow, so Luther plunged back into the mass of plague bearers and zombies.
Oh shit.
Thank you, Manfred. What reason did he have for doing this? Oh, he just didn't much like Luther Harkon, wasn't a fan, didn't like the cut of his jib. Also, no, I don't know why Luther didn't sprout bat wings again and fly away. End times. Down.
Yeah, actually, what the fuck? Why didn't he just become a bat again and fly? That's stupid.
An arm, his army, and first mate, and now with a broken leg from the fall, you would think that Luther Harkon would die now. And while his end is soon, it doesn't come from the infinite horde around him. Because all he does is get somehow even angrier, like anger on levels of sheer unrelenting rage, and starts swearing at every single being that approaches him to finish what Manfred started. A zombie takes a swing at him, it dies. A plague bearer walks up, it dies. Dozens of plague bearers all at once? Congratulations, Nurgle, a whole bunch of your demons are showing back up to your garden a little bit earlier than they were supposed to. He's swearing like a pirate, he's cutting things up left and right, making Davy Jones and Manon and whatever ocean being you can imagine weep tears of pure joy when finally at last Isabella shows up. She disarms him, again very literally, and gets a bunch of plague bearers to hold him down. She whispers sweet nothings to him, and he melts into soup. Despite him supposedly being immune to magic, that was the end of Luther Harkon. On paper, it took an endless horde of demons to finally bring the Pirate King down. But in reality, he just got Manfred von Karstein. Thank you, Manfred. Very cool, Manfred. I hope your genitals explode, Manfred.
I feel like now I need to learn about Manfred, because everyone's talking about how he's the biggest dick in all of fantasy, but I don't know anything about him. What if the end times were called the freak times and all the characters were freaks? I feel like they kind of already are, but you know.
But thankfully, Creative Assembly came through where GW failed, because while Luther Harkon and his vampire zombie pirates were briefly playable on the tabletop, Total War has given them unlike...
Whoa, this guy down here with the tentacle tongue, that's a sick design right there. And this one with the like squid and the net, both of these are really cool. All the barnacles and stuff, the design of this is amazing.
Like never before. They have a theme song now. So for fun,
Wow.
let's end on Do or Don't Luther Harkon for Total War. And I'm gonna be honest, this will be the shortest lore positive section ever. But not because I think he doesn't have a lot of things going for him. He has solid goals that are very achievable, because stealing Lizardman stuff and loot in general is really all he wants. He's a pretty powerful character in lore who keeps on kicking, both because of his inherent anti-magical ability, because he's a vampire pirate king, and because he's the luckiest man on the planet who gets entire armies delivered for free due to the ocean. But you know what?
That is pretty insane, I can't lie.
The ultimate lore positive is that he is a vampire pirate emperor. And if the words vampire pirate emperor don't instantly sell you on this character's lore, I don't want to talk to you. There's nothing I can say that will sell you on Luther Harkon.
I agree with Pancreas. Vampire, pirate, what did he say? I already forgot. Vampire, pirate. Oh no, how did I already forget his defining features? Vampire, pirate, lord? No. There was another word. What was the other word? Emperor. Okay, thank you. It was emperor. You're right. Vampire, pirate, emperor. Sign me up. How could you not be on board with that? Hey, Brad, I'll give the hug after this react.
And quite frankly, the only thing I want to sell you on is the idea that you need therapy if you don't think that's the coolest shit ever. If
I agree.
Vampire Pirate Emperor doesn't make you want to chug a bottle of rum and start singing sea shanties, you're dead inside.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Worse than dead inside, actually, because Luther's a vampire and he's pretty clearly having fun. So for gameplay positives, let's...
Well, is he having fun, or is he just in constant turmoil with the whole 8 personalities thing? I don't know if we can prove that he's having fun, but he's accomplishing some goals, so... You know, I'll give him that at least. He is having fun? Okay. Well then, good for him. I love that. Have fun despite your crazy head demons, you know?
Go over his faction specialty stuff first. Luther gets a massive diplomatic relations bonus with Arkan the Black, which is quite nice. Not spectacular, granted, but it's a fun nod to the fact that he was a Mortarch under Nagash, and Arkan usually sticks around, at least during my campaigns. He gives all lords and embedded heroes 6+ to melee defense. Nothing spectacular again, but it's a solid bonus. It's nothing you're going to be writing home about, but it can be the difference between a lord clutching out a win and going home in a body bag.
Minus
and one of his
60
skills
for
you can unlock gives you
Lizardman.
+1 to both capacity and recruit rank of vampire fleet captains, which isn't great, but it's there. It helps. For in-battle gameplay, he's certainly got some more positives. His army automatically gets 25% spell resistance.
Wow.
If you happen to be fighting Tzeentch or Aslan, you can safely tell them to get bent. He also gives an additional 3 points to vampire corruption in a province per turn. Very nice, considering you very much need that. And when fighting Lizardmen, you get +8 leadership on all your units.
Wow.
Do as Luther does, and go steal Lizardman shit. You can also get Drek as a follower. Unfortunately not a legendary hero, but he does buff your army, so he's still hanging around giving his captain his support. His unique skills, in all honesty, aren't super interesting, but they are the sort of thing that makes a solid and reliable army and character. His skills can give him Frenzy, increase his melee defense and armor, lower his army's upkeep by 10%, and not only give himself exploding ammunition, but also increase the missile strength of zombie gunnery.
So many specifics that I don't understand. I can kind of get like the gist though. Like if I think of a percentage-wise and stuff, you know?
Units. Only by 8%, which might sound rather underwhelming, especially considering that a lot of those gunnery units are rather low tier. But remember, when you're playing the Vampire Coast, you weren't really playing Total Warhammer 3. You're playing Empire Total War 2. Complete with naval battles, only this time the ships are so eager that they walk onto the land themselves to get in on the fun. These low-tier units, especially when buffed, are a ranged hellscape for your enemy, and Luther makes them stronger. And to top it off, he gets a dragon mount at level 18.
Whoa.
A Death Shriek Terrorgeist if you want to be technical about it.
Very
but come
cool.
on, it's a dragon. Mounted on it, Luther can turn infantry blobs into slurry, turn weaker characters into slurry, and if there's anyone that could potentially give him trouble in melee, he can just fly away and shoot at them with a gun. In terms of being super ultra competitive, I'm not going to speak on how well he is. In terms of just playing single player, once you level up Mr. Harkon, he's going to be killing most things you throw him at. You can also restore him to lucidity and give him access to the Lord of the Deep as the game goes on. This turns someone who's already pretty great at ranged and melee combat into a wizard who can cast one of the most damage-filled spell lords in the game.
I will say looking at how the game is played is so intimidating. I've never played a game like this before.
He can also summon giant crabs with it, as well as slightly buff range units with a spell. To put it bluntly, he turns into a monster. Unfortunately, his dialogue and animations don't change, so he still looks and sounds insane, but I like to imagine that from that point on, he's just doing it to mess with people. For his lore downsides, no, I'm not giving lore downsides this video. Vampire Pirate Emperor. You will instantly know from that description alone if you have any passing interest in Luther Harkon's lore.
Hell yeah.
Aside from that, the only downside I can give the man is that he is yet another direct victim of Manfred von Karstein during the end times. So I guess you have to live with that knowledge when you're playing as him. For gameplay downsides though, picking him as your starting legendary lord means you begin with a massive relations penalty for the Lizardmen. Given you want to be fighting them, this isn't too much of a downside, but you better be ready for war the moment you find a new lizard faction. They'll be declaring it soon enough if you don't. He also starts in Lustria, having remained on the Vampire Coast unlike Teclis, who took the first chance he had to get the hell out. Now the Southlands where Teclis moves seems to be the Warhammer 3 Thunderdome, presumably because wherever Teclis goes, violence follows. But just because the Southlands is now worse doesn't mean Lustria is pleasant. There's still most of the Lizardmen, who especially hate you, the Skaven, Marcus Wolfheart, and Ulthuan isn't far away either. Cathayans have also decided they want to come for a visit, because the Jade Dragon has nothing better to do than beat up random people in the jungle, and if you're playing with Mixu's Legendary Lords mod like I usually do, there's multiple demon Legendary Lords kicking about too. You are going to have your work cut out for you. For Battlefield down.
This sounds so complicated. Oh, and then looking at it and you see all the little guys everywhere. Oh, this is way too much for Elmo. I don't think I could ever play this.
Sides, he doesn't get his Terrorgeist mount until level 18. Until then, he has to footslog. Similarly, you need to fix his brain first before you can be allowed to cast spells with him. And speaking of that,
it makes you fix his brain. That's really funny.
Every now and again, one of his personalities takes over and changes his traits around. Each time this happens, he gets bonuses in one area and minuses in another. So he may be great at melee attacks one turn, but he can also suffer from rampage. The next, his ranged attacks are stronger, but his leadership takes a nosedive. On the plus side, this can randomly let you cast a Lore of the Deep spell before you fix him, but that is by no means something you should rely on. The trait can change at the drop of a hat, and then your carefully constructed battle plan can fall apart if you base it around him having that spell at that moment. And for the last of his gameplay downsides, he really doesn't do anything to buff his faction, or even his own troops. If you aren't fighting Lizardmen, I think the only thing he gives is his army 25% spell resistance and buffing gunnery units. Those are nice, but Luther is first and foremost a combat lord. You want him tearing things apart at range or up close. If you prefer lords who are more buff wagon than murder machine, you might want to look elsewhere. And there's Luther Harkon. Given his end times lore and how potentially difficult his Total War campaign can be, you might think he's the worst pirate you've ever heard of. But even so, at least now you've definitely heard of him.
He sounds
I held myself off for this entire video to say that. I think I've earned it. Thank you as always to my wonderful channel members. You are the insanity to my Luther Harkon, driving me to create whatever crap I decide to at the drop of a hat. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe or become a member. Either way, thank you for watching, and take care out there.
What's the joke? I'm ready for the joke.
Please, CA, just add the shanty to the game. I will pay for it at this point.
Yeah.
Make it a music pack or something. Just record a couple more and sell it for $15. I promise you people would buy it. Yeah, they'll absolutely complain.
I think so.
But if you think that most Warhammer fans won't spend the money to add sea shanties to the game, you're more insane than Harkon is.
Those were good. I like them. Reach out to Lore Master Sotek. He helps a lot of YouTubers getting into Total Warhammer 3. I don't know if I would get into Total Warhammer 3. I mean, I would try anything once, so I'd for sure, like, try it out if someone wanted to, like, teach me and play with me. But I've never played a game like that, so I don't know if I would like it. And staring at it on my own is very intimidating, so I don't think I would get it unless someone was like, hey, I'll teach you. Do you want to play with me? And then I'd be like, okay, you know? Yeah. That's it. Let's see. So I won't be live tomorrow because I have to cook like crazy. I gotta cook. And then Thursday is a Thanksgiving for me and my fellow Americans. And Friday, I might have something going on Friday, so that's why I'm not sure if I can do the stream Friday morning or Saturday morning. So I'm following up with someone about it Friday, because I'm actually off Friday. My company gives us Thanksgiving and the day after off. So yeah, if I can do Friday morning instead of Saturday morning, I might do that, but I'm pretty sure I've got something going on Friday. So the next stream will be Saturday morning, and I'll probably stream through to like early afternoon, and we'll just paint all day. The plan is to paint. I want to paint my Glitch Star themed sisters. Yeah, so that's the plan. So if you're around Saturday morning, not like early, probably, I don't know, man, I will say 9 or 10 Central, I think is what I'm shooting for. And then I'll probably stream until like 3 or 4, like whenever I just get tired of painting. But or I need like an eye break. But I want to get, I want to paint more of my battle sisters. I want to paint a lot of them. I want to try and like finish at least one. I mean, I've only started painting one. I want to progress on it. I want to paint. But otherwise, yeah, that's when I'll see you guys next. Either Friday or Saturday morning. Yes. Yeah. But we're gonna raid Naren. So if you guys were around on Sunday, I was on Poseidon's stream for like a Pokemon, guess that Pokemon game show kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. And one of the girls playing with me was Naren, and she was super knowledgeable. She ended up winning, and she's live right now. So I would like to raid her because she was really nice and friendly. But yeah, that's all I've got today, guys. I hope you have a good night or day wherever you are. Please take care of yourself, drink plenty of water. I'll catch you guys on Discord. If you're American, I can't wait to hear about your turkey day. And everyone else, well, it has to be month on it, and I'll see you guys for painting stream soon, okay? Bye, guys! Wah!
Strong will end a lot of ambition. Can't see through them like apparitions. Determined to bring only the best. Get in the way, be her guest. Riri, the ghosty girl, steals your body, steals the show. Klutzy and a little forgetful, but meeting her is unforgettable. She's a scream queen that can scare the soul.